Hello guys from Intellipaat. The topic for today is how to learn ethical hacking from scratch. But before we actually begin, be sure to hit that subscribe button and click on that bell notification icon so you don't miss out on any updates from us. Without any further ado, let us get into the key concepts of ethical hacking before we actually understand how to get started with it. Firstly, we need to understand what hacking is. Hacking is defined as gaining unauthorized access to a computer system or a network. So, basically, that means that there are two ways you can get into a target system because every target system today that you will get will have some security measures assigned to it. So, you can either crack those security measures or bypass those security measures. Either way, this is not the traditional way that you would get access to that system, and hence because it is not the traditional way to do it, it is also the unauthorized way to do it, and it is oftentimes illegal, and this entire procedure is called hacking. And as we get further into this presentation, we will also look at the different kinds of hacks that exist. For now, let us understand what ethical hacking is. Ethical hacking is obviously a sub branch of hacking, and it is the legal way of hacking because oftentimes we associate the word hacking with illegal. Ethical hacking is essentially how you can legally perform hacking. So it is the authorized and legal process of finding out vulnerabilities, threats, and exploits in a system or computer network through penetration testing. So essentially, as an ethical hacker, you will ask for permission from your parent organization or your employer to hack into their systems. And once the organization has given you those permissions, your job is to hack into those systems and basically generate a report to provide that particular information as to how you were able to hack into that system. So this report is essentially providing the employer with the security vulnerabilities and exploits that are present in their application or system. And then the employer can basically hire a security team to patch that up. So that is how the employer stays one step ahead of any hacker who may have malicious intents against the organization's company or application. And as we can also see in the diagrammatic representation, the ethical hacker will hack into the target system with permission. And after the hacker is successfully able to do that, he'll record all of the steps that he performed to do that. And then he'll send that information to the employer, and then the employer can take further action from then on. So let us now look at the steps involved in hacking, which means the phases of ethical hacking. The first phase in any hacking procedure is reconnaissance. Now, this is also known as the footprinting phase. In this particular phase, you basically map out information about your target. You understand all of the trends and traits of the target. You understand the system configuration and everything of the target system that you're supposed to hack. And the second phase is scanning. So in scanning, especially in computer networks, which are very prominent today because almost all organizations have local area networks, and in those local area networks, you have a particular network topology. Now, these network topologies are obviously not public, so it is the job of the hacker to understand the network topology, where switches lie, where routers lie, and which hosts are on which particular subnet of a network, to understand what the hacker is basically supposed to hack. Because certain systems, which are the privileged administrative systems, might be on different subnets, while the normal level 1 employee systems might be on a different subnet. So it is the job of the hacker to scope all of that information out. So reconnaissance and scanning are sort of the phases where the hacker is not actually performing any sort of invasive action. He's just mapping out all of the information that is present in the target system or network. So once all of this information has been mapped out, the hacker has understood, and the hacker has plotted a plan as to how he will get into the system. The third phase is gaining access, definitely. So this gaining access can happen through multiple means. This could be through passive or active means. The inactive means the hacker would basically crack the security features of a particular application system or network, in which he could basically use something like a brute force password attack method to get access to an administrative computer, or he could send an email to the administrator, and if the administrator clicks on that particular link that is present in that email, he could basically give up his credentials, or the hacker could install keyloggers onto the administrator's computer, where the administrator could simply type in the password, and the character string which is the password, which will be basically sent to the hacker himself. So there are essentially various means by which the hacker can gain access to the target system. So once the hacker has gained access to the target system, the second step is maintaining access. So after the hacker is successfully inside the target system, he could install a rootkit or a backdoor onto the target system, so that the next time the hacker tries to get into the system, he basically has all of the privileges assigned to him already, so that he can get into that system without any issues, even if the password is changed by the administrator, even if the security measures have been updated. Just because there is a backdoor that exists on the system, the hacker still has access to that system. Now, finally, when the hacker has finished his job and he wants to basically exit this particular job, what he could do is clear the tracks. This is an essential step because it clears the hacker of any legal liability of hacking into the victim's system. So basically, any backdoors that have been installed, any rootkits, any sign of any particular scripts that had been installed onto the system will be removed, so that whenever there is a security auditing or anything inside the organization, no traces of the hacker are found, and the hacker basically gets away with whatever he did. So these are all of the steps that are involved in hacking, and if you are an ethical hacker, you also have to follow all of these steps so that you can imitate what a hacker does, and basically prevent all of these things from happening on your employer's computer system or network or application. So let us look at the common hacks that are used today. So the one that you guys may be familiar with, which is present very widely on the consumer scale, is malware. Now, this is in the form of trojans, viruses. So what happens is you basically click on a link, you install some toolbar onto your web browser, you install some, you basically change your default search engine. So this is counted as adware. This is the least harmful sort of a virus that is present on your system. It only causes slight inconvenience to you, and it's very easily removable as well. But there are more serious problems over here as well, like ransomware and more advanced forms of trojans, where they basically install some keyloggers onto your system or get your bank details from your web browser keys, or they could essentially do something like put your computer on permanent lockdown, and until you give them a certain amount of money, which means you give the hackers a certain amount of money, they wouldn't unlock your system, and now your system might have some information that is important to you or your job, and as long as the hackers have kept that system hostage, you are not able to access it. So it's a very damaging sort of hack that is present today and very widely present as well. Now, there's phishing. Now, phishing is entirely the fault of the victim, because in phishing, what will happen is the attacker will send you a bogus link. So, say the attacker sends you something like Facebook.xyz instead of Facebook.com, right? And you log into Facebook.xyz. So, Facebook.xyz is not actually owned by Facebook, it's not associated with Facebook. So, what will happen in this particular hack is that you'll enter your credentials, and the hacker will get your credentials in plain text format, and then the hacker will have the intelligence to redirect you to the actual Facebook login page, so that you're actually inside your Facebook account and you do not suspect a thing. Now, the third sort of hack, which is very common, is SQL injection. Now, this is especially common when you're dealing with web applications that have SQL databases present in them. So, it's kind of a hack where you're manipulating SQL queries into giving up information about sales details, user credentials, and whatnot from a web application. Then you have cross-site scripting. Now, this is something that is present on the browser, on the client side itself. This is not present on the server side. So what will happen is, if there is a very malicious sort of website and it has a cross-site script installed onto it, what will happen is whenever you try to access that website through your web browser, which means your JavaScript will try to decode whatever the code of the particular website is. In that decoding process, what will happen is a script will run, which will install something onto your system or your web browser, which is malicious either way, very invasive. So it's very important that you only go to websites that are safe in nature. Then you have denial of service. Now, in this particular case, what will happen is you have a web application or a web server. So a lot of clients access your particular web application, but your web application's server does not have a very high capacity. So if say 102 clients logged onto your particular application at the same time, your server will essentially crash. So the hacker will simulate such an attack where more than 100 users, or more than 1 million users, or more than 1,000 users uh, try to access your website at the same time, and it will basically crash your server, causing your business to go into downtime. So this is what denial of service is. The customers will not get access to that service; they will be denied that service. And then there's the man in the middle. So man in the middle basically means intercepting an encoded message between two particular endpoints and decrypting that message, getting the actual meaning of that message. Now, these might be used by organizations who are trying to get decoded meanings of messages that are being shared between two confidential parties. So these are the different sorts of hacks. There are also a lot of other hacks as well, but these are the sorts of hacks that are most commonly used. Now, let us get into how you can get started with this particular job role. So, first step would be to start preparing for a certification. Now, I would recommend you to start preparing for the CEH certification. CEH certification is the Certified Ethical Hacker certification, and it is an industry accepted accolade by the EC Council, obtained by demonstrating knowledge of key hacking skills to assess and basically determine all of the security threats and exploits present in the target system. It is done in a lawful and legitimate manner because it is a job role which is basically based in ethical hacking. So once you get this certification, an organization will hire you. So the organization will expect you to find the security flaws and vulnerabilities present in their system. So a certification like this also helps a lot with the hiring process, because it gives the employer an idea of what you have successfully accomplished. Because the CEH exam has a set criteria to pass. Now, if you pass that criteria, the organization can be ensured, the organization which is hiring you in this case can be ensured that you are of a certain level. Because in this particular career domain, which is the ethical hacker domain, there's not a lot of ways in which you can make your name unless you're actually performing a lot of hacks and doing a lot of bug bounties. So these are one of the only few ways in which you can basically flesh out your resume and get your credentials right for these ethical hacking jobs. So, what are the minimum qualifications that are required of you to attempt this examination in the first place? Now, this examination you cannot simply attempt out of scratch. You have to have a certain amount of criteria fulfilled. The first criteria would be with training. So, you can give an EC Council accredited training to basically be eligible to appear for this exam. Now, you can do this with using EC Council's official platform, or you could do it via an accredited training center. So the training center has to be partnered up with the EC Council for you to be eligible to give the exam after you take the training from there. So Intellipaat is also an accredited training center, and we'll discuss more about that when we reach the end of the session. So make sure you stick around for that. So this is the first way you can give the exam, first qualification. The other way, the alternative to that, if you don't want to appear for a training, you need to have 2 years of experience in the information security domain. So which means that you have to have a job in the information security domain for at least 2 years, and this particular job experience should be certified by an experience letter or any form of proof that will basically prove to the EC Council that you've had a information security job for at least 2 years, and then you can straight away give the exam after just simply giving the exam fees and registering for the exam. You can give the exam. So this is the second way you can give it, right? So for the guys who are new at this particular topic, you'll obviously have to appear for the training. So we'll discuss more about the details on that as we reach the end of the session. So let us look at the topics. So these are some topics that you can research and you can get started with these to basically get started with your CEH career, your ethical hacking career. So the first is footprinting and reconnaissance, which we discussed a little while back in the phases of hacking. So there are certain technologies that help you accomplish this. You'll be looking into those, and then there's network scanning. There's enumeration, which means understanding all of the systems that are present on the target network, their configurations and whatnot. You basically have to enumerate all of those systems on the network. Then there's system hacking, and then there's sniffing, which means understanding data packets, intercepting data packets, and understanding the meaning of them. Then you have social engineering, which means basically deducing a target's credentials, deducing a target's security information by their social behavior. So that is what social engineering is, gaining information from the outside and the inside, and then implementing that in your hack. And then there's denial of service, which we discussed a little while back. There's session hijacking, which means that there's a particular sort of hack in which you create a session when you log into your social media account or your bank account. The hacker's job would be to basically hijack that session and use that session to his own advantage. Now, it would be to gain information, or your private information, your private pictures, your private messaging, or it could be to gain access to your bank account itself. So you can understand how harmful that can be. So you need to have knowledge about that. Then there's web server hacking. So this is especially related to web applications. You have SQL injection. Now this is related to what we discussed earlier on. And then you have wireless hacking. So on wireless networks, how can you hack into a system? Because you might notice these days that you don't necessarily need to have a wired connection for a hacker to get into the network. So what will happen is the hacker can be outside of the organizational's uh, premises, and he can basically get access to the Wi-Fi network and still hack into that system. Then there's mobile hacking. So the latest technologies today have a lot of mobile elements attached to them, like Android and iOS. So you need to be aware of how to hack into those systems as well. There's cloud systems. So there's another sort of technology that is emerging these days, which means uh, organizations like Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, AWS, all of these organizations have cloud systems. So there's another entire branch of hacking that deals with hacking into those systems. There's encryption, hashing, and data security. So cryptography is a very essential element of data security, and understanding your way around that is very important for data security and hacking, both topics. Then you have these newer sort of technologies called IoT systems. IoT is short for Internet of Things. Now, basically, you might have noticed these days there are smart bulbs, there are smart TVs, there are smart microwaves and smart refrigerators, all connected to a single Wi-Fi network inside your home. So obviously, to hack into a particular network, you also get access to these particular systems. So hacking also has an element attached to that these days. And then you have your penetration testing. Now, the final thing is obviously the main job of an ethical hacker, to understand all of the elements attached in ethical hacking and basically be able to try your penetration testing algorithms and scripts and routines to basically understand what are the security features, the security flaws and exploits present in the target system. So the second step would be to enhance your skills. Now, this is not directly relevant to passing the CEH exam. The CEH exam only deals with the previous topics that we discussed. But if you want to get further in the ethical hacking domain after you've prepared for your CEH exam, it's always better to have these three domains in your resume, in your knowledge base. So the first is operating systems. Now you'll cover a lot of this when you're actually preparing for the CEH topics, because operating systems are in general covered when you're dealing with that, because you'll be dealing with the command lines of those operating systems. But it is also very relevant for you to advance in the ethical hacking job domain by having extensive knowledge of operating system command lines as well, like of Windows, of Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS. Because in a Wi-Fi network or in a local area network, what will happen is a combination of these devices will be connected, and you need to know your way around those. Then there's scripting. So obviously for attacks like SQL injection, you need to know your SQL or a database language for that matter. And to create routines, to create scripts when you're hacking, you need to know a coding language. So JavaScript is highly recommended because it helps you deal with both web application sort of hacks and both computer hacks, locally hosted hacks, or you can deal with C or Python. Both are equally good, but JavaScript is something that I would personally recommend if you're dealing with scripting, especially in the case of ethical hacking. And then there's networking. Now, networking concepts and fundamentals should be absolutely clear to you. On top of it, you should know how to navigate your way around the computer network. You should know how switches operate, how routers operate, and everything, to be able to basically navigate your way around this networking concept. So these are some of the skills required for advanced ethical hacking job roles to advance in your career. Now, the step three is obviously to attempt the CEH exam. Now, regardless of how much you've practiced in the advanced skills, you need your practice to be absolutely certain for the initial CEH syllabus, the CEH V11 syllabus. So, for you to basically successfully attempt this examination and pass in it, so this is the exam pattern. You'll have 125 questions, which would be of MCQ format. The duration that you would be given would be 4 hours, obviously multiple choice questions, the MCQ format. And you can refer to more information by going on to the particular website, which is cert.ecouncil.org/FAQ. So you can go on to that particular website to get more information with regards to what the passing score is. But to basically sum it up, the passing score changes every particular examination. It depends on the difficulty level of the questions as to what weightage each question will carry. So it depends on which question carries what weightage, and that will basically determine your passing score. The step four would be to attempt bug bounties. Now, this is an optional step, but it is highly recommended. So, after you've completed your CEH certification, if you land a job, that is pretty amazing. But if you don't want to exactly go into the corporate section of hacking, what you could do after that is attempt bug bounties. Now, the certification is not important to attempt bug bounties, but the certification will certainly provide you with the skills to do this. Uh, Attempting bug bounties basically means that the organizations are present all around the world who are scared that their systems might get hacked. So what they do is they post these jobs online, these bounties online onto these websites like Bugcrowd and Hacker One. So what will happen is they'll post these job listings or bounty listings, and the job of an independent ethical hacker would be to browse through these listings and attempt one of these bounties. Now, these bounties are essentially invitations to hack their systems, and they'll basically demand, or they basically ask you all of the information, all of the reports that you've generated while you were trying to hack their systems, and if you were successfully able to do it. Once you submit that report of the security vulnerabilities present in that organization systems, the organization will give you the designated reward for that particular bounty. So, finding security vulnerabilities in organizations and submit your findings to secure benefits. Now, you can get three advantages from this. If you're successfully able to complete the bounty, you'll get the designated reward. You'll also get a job opportunity. It might be the case that the organization might be looking for competent individuals in the ethical hacking domain. So if you're successfully able to hack into their systems, they might hire you, and it certainly adds to your experience. So once you get the completion certificate from that organization, you can certainly enhance your CV and say that you were able to hack into this particular organization or that organization and get the dream ethical hacking job that you have. So if we look at one of the examples of bug bounties, you have the Amazon Vulnerability Research Program. So this was posted on HackerOne. So we can say that there are several rewards associated to this. So if you are able to hack into Amazon and the security threat that you're able to provide to them is critical, you'll get a reward of about $10,000 to $15,000. If the severity threat is high, it's 1,000 to 2,500, and medium, so on and so forth. So, depending on the sort of hack that you are able to perform, you'll get a proportionate reward to that in most cases. So, it all depends on what standards the organization has set up in their listing. Let us look at the average income of a CEH certified ethical hacker. Now, if you are certified, there's a set standard on which you will get paid. So keep in mind that this is not the starting salary or the end salary of a certified ethical hacker. This is the average. So in the United States, it's about $75,000. In India, it's about 7 lakhs per annum, and in the UK it's about 46,000 pounds. So as you advance with your career, you'll get more opportunities and you'll certainly get to enhance your salary as well. So how do you get started with all of this? That is the obvious question. We discussed earlier that you need to go through an accredited training center if you don't have job experience in the information security domain. Now, this is to tell you that Intellipaat as an organization is partnered up with the EC Council, and we are an accredited training center, and we do provide a course for certified ethical hacking. Right, so be sure to sign up for our webinar to actually know more about this. To sign up for our webinar, you can simply go to intellipaat.com slash academy slash webinars, the link for which is provided in the YouTube chat box and the description of this video. So there are a lot of upcoming webinars that we always have. So you can register for that and you'll get a reminder on your mail to basically attend that session, right? So that is about it from Intellipaat. If you want to know more about our courses, you can go to intellipaat.com and type any topic that you have in mind in the search box, and you'll get the results associated to that. You can type in ethical hacking or CEH, you'll get the results associated to our CEH course. And finally, that is about it from our session here today, guys. So if you want to contact our course advisors with regards to any of our courses, not just the CEH/ethical hacking course, you can use the following contact details present on your screen. Our course advisors are available to chat with you 24/7. So make sure, if you are serious about this, if you have any doubts, you contact them. And again, a reminder, be sure to sign up for the webinar. We have upcoming webinars all the time. So you can ask us live doubts related to our courses or the topic in hand if you simply join us in our meeting, right? So please make sure you just join us in our webinars from now on. So thank you for attending this session. Hope you have a wonderful day or evening ahead of you. Thank you and goodbye from Intellipaat.